AJ Brown was interesting to me. Again, I don't think that there's any way that he's going anywhere. But the fact that tucked inside of, I think
Well, let me
Schefter,
test stop you for 1 second there.
yeah,
The Eagles just traded a receiver away. Isn't that sort of a tell that they're not gonna?
sure,
You know what I mean?
right,
Like to me, like that's sort of a tell
yeah,
because if you were planning on if you were planning on trading AJ Brown, you would be holding on to your receiver depth. You wouldn't be trading it away, right?
yeah, yeah,
So, I mean, that's just a thought, but I mean, I think that's like kind of a window into Howie's mindset. Now, it doesn't mean somebody can't blow him away, but like just as far as for your planning purposes, like if you're planning on putting AJ on the block, like that's probably not the move you're making like 3 or 4 days ahead of time.
no. And the thing about, I thought Brooks Cabina from The Athletic did a good job, like really went deep with AJ on the genesis of all this stuff, like, his trust issues, everything that he's had growing up,
It's a
and
very
why
it's a very deep story
it
about a
is.
guy about a guy who's reading books on the sideline. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you know what? I think it's important sometimes to meet people where they're at,
Yeah.
in their headspace, and I thought Brooks did a really good job of it, and it kind of helped me understand AJ a little bit more. I've talked to him about, his some of the stuff that happened in Tennessee, especially, and how that made him a little jaded, and so I get it. But ultimately, I think that the solution is to fix the problem and to kind of just get everybody rowing in the same direction. I think that's so much easier than, like, if you're AJ Brown, do you want to get traded to, I don't know, like, do you want to go to like the Cardinals? You know what I mean? Like, do you want to go somewhere where, I mean, it sometimes it sucks in Philly. I get it, and sometimes you have to block, and it's annoying that there's 600 reporters at your
Yeah.
locker after every game. But you're gonna get your 1,000. You're gonna get your 8 9 TDs. It's gonna be all right. And in the
Well,
playoffs, you probably dominate. So
I don't
I don't
know.
know.
You hear about these guys talking about legacy and everything else, and especially at that position where everybody's got like incredible numbers now. And it's like sort of like to me, it like kind of sucks that there are gonna be some really good receivers from like when we grew up that are gonna be forgotten just because the game's changed. You know what I mean? Like, and like receivers today don't have to worry about like Rodney Harrison ripping their head off as they go across the middle. You know what I mean? Like, so, but I mean, like, I think like it's harder for like a lot of like the AJ storyline here is about his legacy, and his legacy is important to him, right? Like, great,
Right.
all right, your legacy is important to you. You know what changes your legacy more than anything else? Winning.
Winning, winning, and
Winning.
yeah.
Why do we remember? Why do I remember Jerry? Why do I still regard Jerry Rice as the greatest receiver of all time? It's not because of his numbers. His numbers
Right.
are great, right? Like, but it's because he was a winner. It was because he was the MVP of Super Bowl 23. It was because in every big game he showed up in the biggest way possible. It's because he was on those stages. Michael Irvin's career numbers aren't great, right? Why is he remembered? 3 Super Bowl championships. He was a national champion in college, right?
Right.
Larry Fitzgerald, I what do I remember from Larry Fitzgerald's career? I remember his playoff run in 2009 that was incomparable. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like that playoff run, like it's very hard for a receiver to take a game over. He took every game over. What do we remember the most from T.O.'s career? Playing on a broken leg in the Super Bowl. So, like, I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, like, if I'm advising AJ Brown here, like, be careful what you wish for. You know what I mean? Be careful playing these games because in Philadelphia, you are afforded the chance to play on the biggest stages. And I understand. I get it, right? Like that. And I think you saw this with Brady at the end of his career, where what was around him wasn't very good. And like it was affecting his individual performance. And I would always say back then, like, you can't expect these guys to be the ultimate competitors when it comes to team accomplishment and then expect that to stop at individual accomplishment. Like
Sure.
I don't think I'm playing well. They're going to be just as competitive about that as they are about winning and losing. Like that
There's
should be
no doubt.
expected. And I
Yeah.
100% get that on AJ. But I'm just telling you, Like it's like if you're worried about your legacy and you're worried about how you're going to be remembered and you're consumed with these sorts of things, it's not about eight catch, 150-yard, 2 touchdown games. It's about how you play on the biggest stages. And you're in a franchise right now that has continued to afford you the ability to play on the biggest stages. I think T.O. would tell you now, like, I should have made it work in Philly. And he went to Dallas and he was able to play on big stages there. And that's great. But then after that, like, it was Buffalo, Cincinnati. Like, he wound up putting himself in a position where, like, he played his career out in places where it was almost like he was forgotten. That's one of the greatest receivers of all time. You know, you think Randy Moss might regret, like, how he handled the end in New England? You know what I mean? Like, where he went to a Minnesota team where the wheels were coming off, and then he played out the string in Tennessee. And then, like, in San Francisco at the end, he made a Super Bowl, but at that point he was really on the back nine. Like, you know, I just think, like, there's so many cautionary tales here when it comes to players at that position. And, like, you are going to be remembered for playing on the biggest stages, and the numbers will come. And if you have a few weeks where you don't have a ton of catches, that's okay. Like, no one's going to think less of you. It's just an interesting psychology at that position because you don't control how much you get the ball. And there are all kinds of outside factors that can affect that, that even your coaches don't have control over, you know? So I just think I think he's in a pretty good situation in Philadelphia that he should, like, it's like one of those, trust me, dude, you're going to look back at this in 5 years and you're going to, like, identify yourself as an Eagle. And you're going to be, and if you're talking on some pregame show or in some booth in 15 years ago, this is the time you're going to be referencing. You know what 100%. I mean? Like, so you should appreciate it. It's like, what is Randy Moss reference now? He was only with New England for what, 3.5 years, like less than 3.5 years.
Yeah.
And he references that stuff nonstop. You know what I mean? Like, he spent way more time in Minnesota. Like Jerry Rice, like, what do you talk to him about? Super Bowl 23, you know? So I just think, like, when these guys are looking at legacy, and so many of these guys are so consumed by legacy, it's like the numbers ain't what it's going to be. Like, the numbers will come. You know, if you're a great player, the numbers will come. What you're going to be remembered for is the ability to play on those big stages. And I'll get off my soapbox now, but, like, AJ has the ability to play on those big stages because he's an Eagle.
I mean, you said it too. I mean, and I kept thinking about a guy I covered, Odell Beckham, where it's like, and again, maybe the success wouldn't have been there, but to have kept pushing and kept pushing and kept pushing and kind of leaving management with little choice but to trade you to the Browns, you know, that's a tough spot, you know, and then injuries kind of hit you in another way, but he would have at least had Dable maybe to come in, and who knows, injuries and everything could be different. But, you know, I think about that stuff all the time. It's like, why, you know, isn't there a point where you can just kind of love where you're at? And I mean, with AJ Brown too, I'm going to look at this real quick. Always.
I mean, look, do you think Tyreek Hill regrets? Like, I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Like, if Tyreek Hill had stayed in Kansas City, okay, and let's say they win the same amount of Super Bowls, how differently are we looking at Tyreek Hill?
Yeah, you're right. So even last year was the big drop off, right? Okay, so AJ Brown played in 13 games last year, and he went from 158 targets in 2023 to 97 in 2024. This was the big Kellen Moore changeover, right? Even though he was more successful as a receiver, like he caught a larger percentage of balls, even though those targets, each one of the fewer targets that he caught went for longer. And here's a crazy stat, right? I mean, even when your targets drop off so markedly from 158 to 97 from 2023 to 2024, you're still only losing about 300 scrimmage yards. That's not a lot. I mean, and it's not like, so You had 158 targets and 7 touchdowns in 2023. And in 2024, you had 97 targets and 7 touchdowns. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're finding the end zone at a similar rate. Right now, you're on target for more targets than you got last year, right? Through now he's missed a couple of games this year, but he's got 51 targets, still half the season to go, and he had 97 last year. I mean, so again, I mean, I don't know. I just think,
I think it's like, well, look, like I think it's again, like this is this has been the psychology of that position forever, right? Like, which is like your worth is like so much of your worth is based on statistics, and statistics are really out of your control. If you're a running back, like a great running back in the day, like could count on, like, I'm probably going to get the ball 20 times in the game. I'm going to have opportunity after opportunity to show who I am as a player. You know, a pass rusher, like he might get double teamed, but he's going to have opportunities to get to the quarterback. A great corner is like judged, like is like on a higher level if you're throwing away from him, right? Like that was like the legend of Deion Sanders. Like some of his best years, he had fewer interceptions because his people didn't throw at him. No one's giving the receiver credit for like carrying double coverage. No one's giving the receiver credit from like removing the safety from the box so the running game is more effective, you know?
right.
And that's part of the problem with that position is the psychology of that position is like, well, I'm a great player, but no one's regarding me that way because my numbers aren't the same. And it's like, oh, what's wrong with him when I'm doing all these little things for the team, you know? And so much of that's out of your control. And so it's just an interesting thing. And I think if I were advising AJ Brown, I would tell him, like, you got a good situation there, dude. Be very careful what you wish for.